श्री वृंदावन धाम की, श्री मथुरा धाम की, श्री नारायण धाम की, श्री जगन्नाथ धाम की, तुलसी महारानी भक्ति देवी की, गंगा देवी की, हरिनाम संकीर्तन देवी की, श्री गोविंदा की, श्री कृष्ण राम की, श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर की, श्री पुरुषोत्तम व्रत की जय, श्री पुरुषोत्तम मास की जय, गो प्रेमानंदे August the Assemblies, August the Assemblies, August to Shiva Chiranga, August to Shiva Prabhupada. Mahajnanandasya Jnanandanasakayam Chakshurundaramnam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadayam Tadadhi Sabarantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttara Sri Guru Vaishnavascha Sri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raganatam Jivantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Bhavam Sagana Lalita Sri Jagannamascha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatkate Gopesha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namaskute Tata Kancha Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusudevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tundascha Kripasindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Govinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are going to discuss about Purusottam Mass. So it is explained in the scriptures about this Purusottam Mass, and as a glorification of Purusottam Mass. Actually, as we know, there are 12 months according to the solar calendar, and also according to the lunar calendar, there are 12 months. So, but because as we know, the solar is going according to the sun, usually, of course, sunrise is there, the sunset, and but as we know that it will be counting from the morning time after midnight till midnight, so there is one solar day, so 24 hours. So although the sun may rise, of course it's rising later at 5:30 or 6, and setting 6 or 6:30, and in the summer is longer, in winter is shorter, but still we count the day from after midnight till midnight. So according to the lunar calendar, so the Tithi, that is known as Tithi, that is according to the moon rise at the moon setting, and so that is actually also what every day the same. But not just like the sun. For example, now the sun is rising at 6:25 or 6:30. It will stay like that for many days. It is not changing very much. Just like we say that in the summer, 21st June is the longest day and the shortest night, and 21st December is the shortest day and the longest night. But actually it's not just one day. If you see the Panchanga, it is for many days. That the summer, the day is long. Not just one day, it is many days. If you see the Panchanga, when it is mentioned when the sun is rising and setting, similarly, there is not only one day. There is not only one day which is the longest or the shortest day in the winter and the longest night. It is for a few days. But around that time, but in the West, which is one day is the longest and one day the shortest. Like that. So, and with the lunar months it is a little different. And so, because the moon is having a different course, and sometimes, and this is changing very frequently, and sometimes the lunar tithi, the time of the moon, for example, the full moon, sometimes it is more than 24 hours, sometimes 25, 26, sometimes it is only 17 or 18 hours with each tithi. So because of that, there's some difference, and therefore, although usually there are 30 days, 30 tithis in one lunar month, but sometimes actually there's one less, because sometimes the time the tithi is very short, and that is not considered. It is known as titikshaya. It is not counted, because it is not touching the sunrise of any day. So that happens frequently, and sometimes the tithi is touching two sunrise. So that for 2 days we may have Dvadashi, or for 2 days we may have Ekadashi tithi. So because of that, because of the movements of the sun and moon, there's some difference. And even we know in the Western calendar, every 4 years, there's one extra day in the month of February. Usually February month has only 28 days, but every 4 years, the month of February has 29 days. So, in the lunar calendar, every 2 or 3 years, it is not fixed. Sometimes 2 years, sometimes 2.5 years, sometimes 3 years, according to the movement of the sun, of the moon. Then there is an extra month, and that is known as Adhika. Adhik means extra month. It is also known as Mal Mas. Mal means something impure. Just like when we have to go to the bathroom, that is called Mal Mutra, as it is there, it is very pure, except for the cow. The cows, the gobar, the cow is pure, but everybody else is impure. Even the Brahmana, who is supposed to be absorbed in Brahman, or even the sannyasis, of course they may be transcendental. Those who are completely transcendental, even their mal, they may be pure. Like Rishabdev is explained when he was passing that his whatever was there, so that was smelling like roses practically, was explained. But otherwise, generally, even the brahmanas, that is impure, the cows is pure. So it is mentioned when that first came into being at the beginning of creation, so after some time, 2-3 years, the Adhik Mas came. And as we know in our conception, we are personalists, so everything is personal. And for example, the rivers are there, and there's a personality of the river, like Ganga Devi or Yamuna Devi. They're a personal form. And even we know that Ganga Devi, she's riding on a crocodile. So like that. And similarly, with the tithis, the lunar days, so they have a personal form. Similarly, the month also. So the extra month was there, and so the other month they were deriding that month. oh, this is an extra. This month came here and no name. So the month didn't have any name. Whereas all the other months, they have a name. As we know now in the Bhadra Mas, before Shravan Mas, and then Ashwin Mas, Kartik Mas, and there's also presiding deity, a Vishnu Murti, like Rishikesh Mas or Madhav Mas, springtime is Madhav Mas. So they all have a shelter of the month, and they have a name. So Bhadra Mas or in the springtime it's Chaitra Mas or Vaishak Mas, and then so the presiding deity is there, Vishnu Murti, Madhav or Keshav. So they all have the name and the presiding deity, so they are sheltered. So but this month didn't have any name, just came, just like a newborn child, no name. So that is Namkaran Sanskar, the name is given after 10 or 12 days, or 15 days, or 21 days, or 30, 40 days, according to the customs of the different places. Those who are following Vedic culture. So the different month they were dividing this Adhika Mas and saying, well, there is, and even nowadays it is known as Adhika Mas and Mal Mas. Mal Mas by those who are following Smarta Vidi, and they will not do any activity during that time, auspicious activity. They say, no, it is Mal Mas. We should not do any auspicious activity. No marriage, no Griha Pravesh, no entering of the house, no auspicious activities. Now we do that after or before. And generally they will also not do Chaturmas. So because of that, the Adhika Mas was very unhappy and was crying. And then she went to take shelter of Vishnu. Somehow she could go to Vaikuntha and took shelter of Vishnu, and Vishnu was saying, why are you crying? And she was explaining, I have no name, I have no shelter, what shall I do? And Vishnu was saying, okay, don't worry, I've come to me, I will take care of you. But then he was thinking, well, let us go to Golok, the highest planet. Let us go to Krishna, to Purusottam, the greatest personality, and he's most merciful and most powerful, more than me. So they went to Golok, and as soon as they came there, so Vishnu was there, paying respect to Krishna, and Rajanananda Sundar, his Guru, the source of everything, of all incarnations, of all the spiritual material worlds, although he's there as a Gopadesh, in the form of a cowboy, but it's the source of everything. He's the most strong, most beautiful, Sadashwara Purna. He has all opulence, more than anybody else, more than Ram, Vishnu, and Shiva. Sisi Gonitai ki, Sisi Krishna Balaram ki, Sisi Radha Shama Sundar. So there are many Bhagavan, Sadashwara Purna Bhagavan. Ramchandra is also Bhagavan, Vishnu is also Bhagavan. Even sometimes the demigods like Shiva, they are also addressed as Bhagavan. Because they are extremely powerful, because they are fully surrendered to Krishna. So they are addressed as Bhagavan. Even Shukadeva Goswami, Bhrigu Muni, exalted personality, sometimes they are addressed as Bhagavan. But there is only one Swayam Bhagavan, Guru, and that is Brajendananda Shamasundar. And also Satchinandana Gaura Hari. He may be accepted as Swayam Bhagavan also, the original personality. So they went there and he offered pranam Vishnu to Krishna. And he told the Adhika Mas to personal form there, so to offer respect to Krishna. And she was doing, but she was crying. And then she offered respect, and then Krishna said, why are you crying? In my place here in Raj, nobody is having any suffering, everyone is living very peacefully and very nicely. So then she explained, I have no name, I have no shelter. And Krishna, so very mercifully told her, don't worry, I will give you a name. And I will give you actually my name. My name is also Purusottam. So, you will be known as Purusottam Masa. And not only that, but whoever is doing some japa during this month, whoever is doing puja, whoever is giving charity, whoever is taking bath in the holy rivers, he will have practically unlimited benefit, more benefit than any other time, in any other mass. As we know, it is explained, if one is living in a holy place, whatever one is doing is 1,000 times magnified at any time. And actually, this is a Mahatmya of all the month, not only Kartik and Purusottam. Magh Mas is also very much glorified. Vaishakh Mas, Chaitra Mas. There's glorification actually of every month, and there's some benefit if you worship Krishna. But most beneficial, most auspicious is Kartik Mas. But then it is explained that Purusottam Mas is even more glorified, more beneficial than Kartik Mas, and it is explained 16 times more. So there is most benefit if you do anything in Purusottam Mas. So if you do Vrindavan, it is 1,000 times more beneficial than anywhere else. And if you do during Kartik Mas, 1,000 times more beneficial than any other time. And Purusottam Mas 16 times more beneficial than even Kartik Mas. So whatever you do, puja, dan, yagya, tapa, so that is most beneficial during that time. So therefore, of course then, the month Adhika Masa was very happy and so now every 3 years Adhika Masa is there, known as Purusottam Masa. And all the devotees who are worshipping Purusottam, they will observe this Purusottam Masa. And as we know, there are 3 Purusottam mainly we know. Of course, any form of Bhagavan, they be addressed as Purusottam. But we know basically 3 Purusottam. The first is Ramchandra, Maryada Purusottam. So it's a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he came as an ideal king, showing how to act as a king, how to follow all the rules and the regulations, but not only as a king, as a human being. Although he's a Supreme Lord, but he was setting the example how to act as a king and even as a human being, following all the rules and regulations of the scriptures, not transgressing any rules. Maryada Ulangan. So he was not transgressing any Maryada, any rules and regulations. So he was very strictly following. And so therefore even nowadays, but nowadays not so much, but maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, they were still calling for Ram Raja, even the politicians. They were saying, we want Ram Raja, we want a kingdom like at the time of Ramchandra, that then everyone should be very nicely worshipping the Lord and following the injunctions of the scriptures. But nowadays we don't hear that anymore, Ram Raja. So Ramchandra is very much worshipped in India, even sometimes more than Krishna, because Krishna, although is Bhagavan, but he's known as Lila Purusottam. He's performing most wonderful pastime. But sometimes his pastimes are very uncommon, and therefore godly persons, and even some persons who have some faith in God, they become bewildered. Like for example, Krishna was stealing all the time. How Bhagavan, he can steal? How he can steal? How Krishna can steal? How he can be God? Even Lord Brahma, Adhika Lord Brahma, he became bewildered. Seeing the pastimes of Krishna. One time he was seeing Krishna eating with the left hand. And he was thinking, how is Bhagavan eating with the left hand? And any common man knows in India that we should eat with the right hand. So then he wanted to see, I should take pariksha. I should test it is actually the Supreme Lord. And as we know, first the story, and the calves and then the cowboys. But then Krishna, he expanded himself and he taught him a lesson. So even he is dancing with young girls, and so that is not proper according to the scriptures, especially when somebody is already married. With many girls he was dancing, and he's stealing left and right, Maggan Mishri. So that is the proper stealing. So Lila Vichar is there. So wonderful Leelas. And therefore those who have faith and who know Krishna, they will glorify him even for stealing. Braje prasidam navinita choram gopam kananam chudukula choram aneka janna chidapapa choram choragaranam Purusottam. I offer my obeisances to Param Purush, to Purusottam, Krishna, who is the greatest of all thieves. So he's the greatest person, he's the strongest person, he's the most beautiful person, he's the richest person, most famous and most renowned. And there are many thieves, but Krishna is the greatest thief. So he's glorified for stealing butter, for stealing the gopis' cloth, according to Leela. But according to Tattva Vichar, if you think, Krishna did not do any wrong. He didn't steal. Because everything belongs to Krishna. Braj belongs to Krishna. All the Brijvasis belong to Krishna. All the houses of the Brijvasis belong to Krishna. And whatever they are making, all the Maggan, Misri and ghee they are making, that belongs to Krishna. Bhoktarange Gupta Prasad Sarvaloka Maheshwara. Everything belongs to him. So he's taking whatever he wants. So no harm. And all the gopis, they are expansions of Srimati Radharani, is Antaranga Shakti, Mool Shakti, eternal consort. So he did nothing wrong. But still, so his pastimes are sometimes, for the ordinary persons, difficult to understand. But it's known as Lila Purusottam. And then the third Purusottam, that is Prem Purusottam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was distributing freely Krishna Prem, not asking very much, simply that we chant the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, the most important thing actually is to do during these months is to chant the holy names. And of course it is mentioned that especially three things one should do. Snan, take a bath, puja, worship of the Lord, and dana, giving charity. So, but one who is absorbed in Harinam, just by doing Harinam he can do everything. Jai Dinam Ananda Rupam Murare, Veramidana Jadam Dhyana Pujanyatam, Katama Sakridatam Mudinam Paramamritam Ekanam Jivanam Bhushanam. There is a verse from Brihad Bhagavatam written by Srila Sanatana Swami. That is glorifying the holy names. And that is explaining that all glories to the holy names, the source of all transcendental happiness. And by chanting the holy names, the cycle of birth and death, that is stopped. And all the benefits by doing puja, by doing tapa, doing one's dharma, one's own nija dharma, according to Vana ashram, giving charity, everything is accomplished simply by chanting the holy names. Even snana, by chanting the holy names, we may be absorbed and we may, so mentally we are bathing in the nectar of the holy names. Or we may by meditation take bath in Ganga Yamuna, or see Gauri and Krishna Lila, how they take bath in Ganga Yamuna, and dana, giving charity. So by giving Krishna Nam to others, that is the greatest charity. So it is the greatest tapasya, as we know, chanting Hare Krishna is also not so easy because there is somebody there in our body, besides the soul, besides ourselves, the subtle body is there, the mind, which is giving so many difficulties and sometimes difficult to concentrate. But, so if we do it in a very humble mood, then we may be able to chant properly and then everything is accomplished by chanting Krishna Nam. But at the same time, so the acharyas have recommended that we follow Purusottam Mass. Even it is explained in the Purusottam Mahatmya, the example is given of Draupadi, that in a previous life she was a son of a Brahmana, daughter of a Brahmana. And so but her behavior, character was not so good. She was not really a Brahmani from her behavior. And then she even actually offended Purusottam Mass. Somebody was telling her about the glories of Purusottam Mass and she offended Purusottam Mass. And so then it is mentioned, so then Lord Shiva came and so she respected him and she got a benediction from him because his Ashutosh was satisfied. And then so she wanted a good husband, but she mentioned that 5 times. I want a good husband, I want a good husband. So he said, Tadastu, you may have 5 husbands. And then, so because of that, it is explained that when she came at Draupadi, she had 5 husbands. So, but then, of course, her life was not very peaceful because she was offensive in that life, but she gave up on her body and then she became Draupadi. So, and then it is explained, of course, as we know, and they had to go to the forest. They were driven out by Duryodhana and his brothers. And they had so many difficulties there to undergo. And at one point, Krishna actually told Yudhishthira Maharaj that actually, because you're not performing Purusottam Vrat, you are not performing Purusottam Vrat, the Vrat, therefore you had to undergo so many difficulties, although you're my devotees. And he recommended to them that you should follow Purusottam Mass, Vrat, and which they did also, and then they again got back their kingdom and Yudhishthira became the emperor. So but we should try to understand that Draupadi and the Pandavas are eternal associates of Krishna. And there's no question of their being offensive at any time, even though it is explained, but we should understand that there's an expanded form of Draupadi. Just like it is explained that Dronadara or Prishnigama Prasuti gave Vasudeva and Devaki. But Vasudeva and Devaki, so they eternal associates of Krishna. But these were expanded forms who were doing tapasya and they got the blessings to then have Krishna as their child. So we should understand it in that way. With this great personality of Narada Muni is an eternal associate. He has a gopi form, he's not a dear gopi in Braj, eternal associate. But they came here in this world to perform pastimes according to Krishna's desire, and so some expanded forms they may be there and considered to be as sadhana. Like Narada Muni is explained that he has a sadhak sharir also and became siddha by doing sadhana. Like that, but we should understand, so they may be expanded form because they may expand practically unlimitedly almost, just like Krishna. Just like in Krishna Lila Vasudeva and Devaki, when they were in Dwarka, so Krishna, he had 60,108 wives, and 60,108 palaces, and 10 children from each wife, 10 sons and 1 daughter. So he was performing many ceremonies like the different sanskar. Nam sanskar in one giving the name to a child, and then they later to one child was already older, he was doing Anakrishna sanskar, giving first grains, Churkana sanskar. So many ceremonies were performed. And in the tradition at that time the parents they are present. So in each palace Krishna had to call his parents whenever there was a ceremony. So then Vasudeva and Devaki, they could not run from one palace to another palace to take part in all the ceremonies, be present anywhere, not possible. So by Krishna's Antaranga Shakti, they were expanded and they were going to different palaces when there was a need to take part in the different ceremonies. So it is like that. So in this way, so we should understand, so the Mahatma is there of Purusottam Masa, and so the eternal associates of the Lord, they don't have to follow. They are already mukta, nitya siddha. But they may follow Yaya Achat Prisheshta State Vidarjana Sayapam Gurute Lokastanta Bhavatate. They follow to set the example. So they were following the Pandavas also just to set the example for others that we may follow. And therefore our acharyas, they have followed Chaturmas, they have followed Purusottam Mas, because it is beneficial for the conditioned souls, especially for those who have not done anything. So they may just hear about the Mahatma of Chaturmas and Purusottam. Oh, we get so much benefit, now we make so much advancement. Then they may do something in Purusottam, and it is true, they will make so much advancement. But for those who are already advanced, they may sometimes simply be engaged in their daily activities. Like Srila Prabhupada, he never says Purusottam, because first of all, he had to tell his disciples not to eat meat and drink and have illicit sex. That was more than enough. But Siddhanta, although he himself, before becoming Acharya, he was taking the vow of chanting 1 billion names and only taking Kirtani once a day. So in this way, he was doing great tapasya, but once he was preaching, he was emphasizing the preaching. Although he told his disciples, you should follow Chaturmas. And even one time he was saying that there was a photo of him with a beard, almost 2 months. And he was saying to his disciples, you should send this picture of myself following Chaturmas to every mat, and everyone should follow. So therefore in the Gaudiya Math, for 2 months doing Chaturmas, they are not shaving. The first 2 months. And then Vishnu Mahotsav they will shave. And then again they will not. But some they will not do for 4 months because according to some, one should not shave at all during Chaturmas. Whereas others they only shave once a month. But Srila Prabhupada, according to time, place and circumstances, he didn't tell his disciples not to shave. Because he already told them to shave up because they were all hippies. And they were attached to their hair. So he told them, you shave up. And he didn't want them to go back to their old habits, so he told them, you just shave up. But he told them not to take, as we know, and milk, the spinach the first month, no yogurt the second, no milk the third, no burrata the 4th month. So not so much. But Bhakti Siddhanta, because he was preaching in a place in Bharatvash where everybody knows about the Vedic culture, about Chaturmas. So he was giving more instructions according to Sanatana Goswami, which vegetables not to take, one should not take honey for 4 months, like that. He gave more, and they're following more. So now during Purusottam, so there are many rules and regulations we may follow, like it is mentioned in Padma Purana, first class following Chaturmas. Like first class Ekadashi is doing Nirjala. If you cannot do Nirjala, you may take a little water. If you cannot do that, then you may take Palaha, a little fruit. If you cannot do that, you may take some vegetables. If you think that is too difficult, then you may take some kutuata chapati or something like that. So like that. So similarly, Purusottam Vrat, it is mentioned in Padma Purana, first class, Purusottam Vrat. I don't think so anyone can follow. That is not to eat at all for 1 month. So that is a little difficult. So what in previous yugas they could do, like Sakya Yuga, they were living for 100,000 years. So 1 month is not a problem not to eat. And only breathe from air a few times, like Guru Maharaj was doing. So that is first class. So if you cannot do that, then you may drink water. Okay. If this is difficult, then some they will just eat once a day, phala, just like a Ekadashi. If that is not possible, for most of us it is not possible, because we have to do seva, which is ultimately most important. So we have to follow Guru. But the spiritual master is saying, what Prabhupada said, Bhaktisiddhanta, what was their mood? Preaching, that is most important. So during the Purusottam and Chaturmas, Prabhupada was preaching and telling everyone to preach. But we may take up some time, so we have to see a Varna, Ashram, what is our situation, what is our age. And sometimes we may take out some time, so we have to be practical and follow the advice of the Spiritual Master. And even just like when we worship the deities, we take the blessings of the Spiritual Master before speaking. We take the blessings of the Spiritual Master. So before doing any prat, usually the tradition is the disciple will take the blessing. We take some guidance from the Spiritual Master, what shall I do? And then he may give instructions. So like that. So some they will only take once a day, some they will not take any sweets, so different rites may be there. So, but the main activity is actually to chant more, and we may take a bath, or we may give charity, or we may give the holy names to others. That is most important. The positive aspect we should see, rather than the prohibition. But it is good. Because sometimes we get so much absorbed in daily life, even as preachers, we go out and preach and they give very nice foodstuffs and so many sweets, and even some of the sannyasas traditionally, for 4 months they will not preach, and they used to do bhajan and some tapasya. Because if you go preaching, you may have the preachers there with experience, then there's some contamination might be coming because of associating with materialistic persons. So therefore it is good for everyone to follow Chaturmas, or especially Purusottam Mass, and try to do more bhajan and reduce the material necessities. So that the vrat may vary according to the persons. So even so, sometimes they have to wait when to follow, when to stop. So the Purusottam, some they will actually start from Amavasya, because actually Amavasya is considered a very auspicious day. Just like Chaturmas is following, is starting on Purnima, or Kartik Vrat starts on Purnima. Although Purnima, and then it's going to Purnima, although the Purnima, for the first Purnima from the Kartik Vrat, that is belonging to the month before, Ashwin Mas. It is not the Kartik Mas. The Kartik starts on Pratibha the next day, but still the Vrat will start from Purnima. They will take the vow, and they may offer the deep gun, they may offer on that day, they may chant extra rounds, they may chant some stavas, stutis, some ashtakans at that time. Already. So it may be already started on Amavasya. Many will start from that day. And then they will do Tin Amavasya. Whereas others they will start from today, because it is practical part. It is not so significant. So the main thing is we have to be positive and respect the different opinions even. Different devotees may have different opinions, and they may have different spiritual masters who give them different instructions. If, for example, it is mentioned, so that during Chaturmas, like we saw in one of the books explaining the different days which are there, and Vaishnav calendar, that during Purusottam Mass, the Chaturmas is not followed. So usually if it is, in, for example, in May or June in the summer, because anyway it is the Chaturmas, at that time it is not followed. But now we are doing Chaturmas, and we are doing Bhadra Mas. And if you see the Pancham, actually, this Purusottam Mas, it is mentioned it is also Bhadra Mas, because it is within the Bhadra Mas. So those who are strict, they will actually not take yoga also during this month. And even so, those who are not shaving, for example, for 2 months or 1 month, they will not shave before the Purusottam Mass. Then they will have an extra month with a more bigger beard. But of course, in our society, we shave more often, and some devotees they shaved yesterday, and now for 1 month they will not shave. Then they be done. So, but we should not try to think, well, there's only my way or my guru's way. Everybody else is wrong. So already that is already actually practically naparat. And one more thing which we should mention, which is very important, that as we do something good, we do some vrat, we do more chanting, we do more puja. And also what we could do is we should try to see all the good qualities of the other devotees, rather than seeing the faults. which a conditioned devotee also has a tendency to see the fault even in the pure devotees. This one who is doing that wrong and this wrong, that wrong. So rather we should be like, the devotee should be like, just like a bee, going from one flower to another flower and taking the nectar. So we should see the good qualities in the devotees. Oh, this devotee, Brajananda is such a nice devotee. Every day chanting so nicely, and we should not see if something is not so good, like this one is sleep. Or so somebody who is like a fly going to the dirty place. All these devotees always falling asleep. No, we should try to see the good qualities of it and not see the faults. So one time when devotee, sitting devotee, that was many for the first time when I heard about this vrat. She was saying, my vrat is this month not to criticize anybody. So for 1 month, not to criticize anybody with words, especially then also mentally even. Try to avoid criticizing anybody, but see the good qualities. And even if somebody has another opinion, we may respect and we may see, right? Maybe his Guru Maharaj is telling him, maybe in one shastra something is explained. Just like even Chaturmas, it is explained, one may start from Ekadashi, or one may start from Dvadashi. It is not that you must start from Purnima, like that. And even the other day, one devotee, he came to me and was saying, well, this calendar says when it starts from Amavasya, this is wrong. What is this? It starts from Prabhupada. So already the mentality is wrong. So with this mentality, even if one is chanting, but if one is keeping that mentality, it is just like making sweet rice. Very nice sweet rice. And then you put some sand inside. What taste will be there? We try to chant extra rounds. Many times devotees, they chant extra rounds and they become proud. I'm chanting 64 rounds. This devotee is only chanting 16. How is he Grihastha? What is he doing? If you have this consciousness, then there's not much benefit of your craft, of you doing extra things. But we must have the proper consciousness also. That is very important. So always very humble, very respectful, and do to the best of one's ability and appreciate the other devotees, whatever they may be able to do. So, for example, even as we know, Sri Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta, they were very strict with themselves. Very strictly they were following whatever they had to do, but then they were also doing according to time, place, and circumstances. And they were very compassionate. When Prabhupada tried to encourage his devotees to chant, in the beginning he told his disciples, you should chant 64 rounds. But they could not do. Then he said 32, and then 16, but not less. So but Prabhupada was chanting 64 at least for some time. Maybe after he was so busy and translating, he may have reduced, but he was chanting for some time. But according to the names and time, place, circumstances, he was doing adjustments for many things, and Bhaktisiddhanta also. So they were very strict themselves in following the rules and regulations. But then they were compassionate towards the disciples and others. And they were pushing the preaching. One time some disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta, they were following Nirjala Ekadashi, chanting the mat. And then Bhaktisiddhanta, he came and said, what are you doing here? Why are you not preaching? And they were saying, well, we're following Nirjala. Then he told them, you take prasad and you go out and preach. So we should see what is the mood of the Spirit Master. And we should try to follow that. And one time Bhakti Guru Maharaj was following Chaturmas, even growing beard, and Prabhupada said, what is this beard? What are you doing? Prabhupada, I'm following Chaturmas. And he said, you go and check. What is this Chaturmas? This Chaturmas, what is this? And he was just, of course, just to show what is most important, that is following the instructions of the Spirit Master, serving under his direction and preaching. But at the same time, he was saying also that we should follow the minimum. And so according to time, place, and circumstances, the Acharya sometimes is giving instructions. So we have to be very sensitive and very respectful and try to understand what is my my spiritual master desired or mood, or we may ask him, and then we have to follow his instructions. So this way, then by especially chanting more, devotees also, they will chant different ashtakams. So some devotees, they prefer to stay in Braj. Many devotees, they will go to Purusottam Kshetra, Puri. But of course, Vrindavan, that is also Purusottam Kshetra, because Krishna is riding here, who is Purusottam. And even Navadip Dham, their Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying Purusottam. So that is also Purusottam Kshetra. So some devotees prefer to stay here, some they may go to Navadip Mayapur, some they will go to Puri. So I went a few times to Puri, and it is very sweet, especially because here I always have so much to do and so many problems. Even during Purusottam Mass, devotees have their problems and they have their different opinions, and they come to me and then I have to try to solve the problems. Then it is sometimes difficult to be absorbed. So I went a few times to Purusottam Kshetra Puri and I would peacefully hear and chant. But we have to be practical and see what is Krishna's desire. So, but we may even stay in the West and get the benefit of following Purusottam Raj. Of course, if you can say Raj, it is nice, but if the Guru is saying you stay in the West and you preach there, that is as good. And if we chant properly the holy names, and Krishna is not different, Krishna Nam is not different from Krishna, then we can create the holy place, like the pure devotee. We can create by chanting Shuddhanam, like Prabhupada one time he was in New York and he was discussing different things, and then the topic came about Vrindavan. So then he was saying that I am always in Vrindavan. So the pure devotee is always in Vrindavan. Or always in Navadvip, because he's always remembering Mahaprabhu and Krishna. So like that, so if we have the proper consciousness, following the Guru's instructions and chanting properly and preaching, then we may be living anywhere. But still, of course, sometimes you come to holy places because Maya is very strong. And still we perform these rites because Maya is very strong. So therefore it is recommended that all, whatever position one is in, either Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, everyone should follow according to their ability or capacity. So everyone should follow Chaturmas according to their ability. Or Purusottam was also something special we should do, and that is not difficult. Chant some extra rounds or give charity every day. You may even distribute prasad, some sweets after the class. Every day I am distributing prasad, even during Purusottam Mass. So those who will not take any sweets, they should not come forward. But those who are not following, they may take Mahaprasad. And if you take Mahaprasad during Purusottam Mass, 16,000 times more benefit than any other time. If you take Mahaprasad any other time, you get some benefit. But during Purusottam Mass, you get much more benefit. So even those who are not doing the great vrat and they are simply taking prasada, they will get so much benefit. Even taking sweet during Purusottam Mass. If you see, oh, this is very nice, Naskula. I'm in Purusottam Mass. I will get 16,000 times more benefit. So that, but at the same time, if sometimes we can do some austerity, that is good. But then we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Naskulas during Purusottam Mass. No. So like that. But we should try to understand the absolute nature of pure devotion service. And Prabhupada many times in Bhaktisiddhanta have explained. And the Yuga Dharma is there, chanting the holy names. That is most important, or book distribution is most important. But most important actually is the bhava, is the consciousness. Trinadapi Sutichena Tororapi Saishvana Amana Madana Kirtaniya Sarani. If one is thinking, I am a book distributor, I am better than the others, then there is not much benefit for this book distribution. If one is doing 24-hour kirtan, doing 24-hour kirtan and thinking I'm better than the one who is cleaning the temple, he's not taking part in 24-hour kirtan, then there's not much benefit of his 24-hour kirtan. Most important is the path, that one is very humble and respectful and respecting everyone. One time, Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, there was an old lady. Every day she was bringing one bucket of water from the Jamuna for the sake of Radha Damodar. And of course, by the way, also by bringing the water, chanting Hare Krishna. And then Prabhupada was saying, just by this seva, she's going back home to Godhead. So most important is the consciousness, to be very humble, very respectful, giving all respect to others. And in this way, one can get the full benefit of Purusottam and make so much advancement. But we should keep the mood throughout the year. Not that Purusottam is finished now, now we can do whatever we want. No, we should continue with that mood and being extremely humble and respectful and try always to be absorbed in hearing and chanting and worshipping and trying to help others. Then surely one will attain perfection. It is explained if one is performing Purusottam Vrat, then one will go back home to Godhead. This is certainly true. But again, if you don't have the proper consciousness, you will have to take birth again. Just like even one time you take darshan of Jagannath, you liberate. This is true. But if after taking darshan of Jagannath and you're committing some Vaishnava aparadha, you're not going back home to Godhead. If you one time purely chant Krishna Nam, then you're liberated. If after chanting one night Shuddhanam, of course usually one will not commit offense, but still if one is offensive then there's a reaction and one will have to take birth again. So most important is the purity. Preaching is the essence, but purity is the force. And the books are the basis, but utility is the principle. So we have to see according to time, place and circumstances. So if one is very humble, very respectful, and trying his best, then surely he will make so much advancement in Purusottam, and he may continue throughout his lifetime, and then he may achieve perfection in his lifetime. But even if one is not so fortunate, then and to be able to become so advanced, there's never any loss or diminution in this path. And in the next lifetime, we will continue whatever we have, whatever platform we have achieved in this lifetime. So different devotees, they will chant different ashtakams. Many devotees, they will chant the Jagannath Ashtakam, because Jagannath is Purusottam. And if they will Purusottam here tonight, they will chant some ashtakams. I think Jagannath Ashtakam they will chant. Some they will chant the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, known as Purusottam Yoga. But we may chant any ashtakam like for Mahaprabhu, because he's also Purusottam, or for Krishna, there are very beautiful ashtakams there. So we may, the more we do, the better it is, the more benefit we get, the more we become enthused, and purified, and fixed. So we should try to do as much as possible and try to decrease the body's necessities and try to decrease offensive mentality. So we should try to be always positive and respectful and see the good qualities in others. So it is explained also about the vrat. Some will say, one should not tell the vrat to others, otherwise one will lose everything. So we should try again to understand that properly. So sometimes you can see, so the advanced devotees, so they may say to others what they are doing, just to inspire the others. So there is no harm. But if one is chanting and trying to, that is more for the purified devotees who are thinking, okay, now we will chant 16 rounds and now we do this austerity, that austerity, just to protect them from becoming proud. It is there that one should not tell. But if a senior devotee is there who is absorbed, he is already very humble, but he may tell to others that you may, or if he is asked by somebody how much you chant, so he may tell, just to benefit that other person, so he may become inspired. So it is not that you cannot tell anybody what you are doing. So, but in this one should not become proud and then just to propagate and just say, I'm chanting 64 rounds, I'm not eating any sweets. No, then you will lose the benefit. But if one is very humble and not telling anybody, but if one is asked by a Juni devotee, or even the Guru is asking, so what are you doing for Purusottam Vrat? Then if he's telling one Gurudev, I cannot tell you, because it is mentioned one should not tell the Vrat. So that is committing aparat. Because if first of all he should have asked the Guru, but if he has not asked, and then the Guru is asking, then he must tell. So we should try to understand these injunctions properly. Whatever is mentioned, what to do and what not to do, we should try to understand properly, so that we are not committing any aparat. And then also it is very much recommended, even just like for those who worship the deities, so they are, every day actually is mentioned that they must beg forgiveness from the Lord for any offenses committed. They must, after the puja and in the evening time. It is not that you may do or may not do, they must. And so then even the advanced devotees, they will do just to teach the others. Mantra-hinam, kriya-hinam, bhakti-hinam, janardana, yad pujitam aiva paripunam pradashtume. Oh my Lord, let whatever I have done, even though it is not complete, let it become perfect and complete. Even though I have not chanted the mantras properly, I have not done the seva properly, like that. So we should always beg forgiveness from the Lord for any offenses committed unknowingly, because the devotees, they do not want to commit offense, but mostly it is committed unconsciously. So in order to avoid that, so we may also every day beg forgiveness from the Lord if we may have committed some Vaishnava parad, or Seva parad, or Nama parad, or Dhamma parad. So then in this way, we may be able to get the full benefit of performing Purusottam Vrat, of staying in Purusottam Kshetra Braj-dham, and being able to serve Krishna, chant the holy names during this most auspicious time. So, maybe anyone has any question or any comment? Maharaj, any comment? Any question? Yes. Tara, put the microphone. Somebody can give the microphone. Someone is doing Ekadashi Vrat, yes. Yeah, if one is performing Ekadashi Vrat, he may take Prasad twice a day. Yes, no problem. Yes. Any other question? No question? So, we should maybe end with some auspicious mantras. Just like in the beginning, we start with Radha Madhava, very beautiful absorption in Radha Krishna and Raj. So we chant 2-3 mantras, glorifying the holy names and glorifying Mahaprabhu, and glorifying Krishna and the next part. Madhuram madhave yopi, mangale yopi mangalam, pavanam pavane yopi, hare namahe kevalam. So glorification of the holy names. And Hare Nama Kevalam, as Mahaprabhu has said, that the There's only one way to get perfection. Harinama, Harinama, Kevalam. So the 8 verses by one wonderful Vaishnava, each line is ending this way, Harinama, Kevalam. And that is explaining that the holy names are most sweet. There are many sweet things in this world. Of course, prasad is sweet like rasgullas, but the most sweet thing that is actually Krishna Nama. And then Mangala, Mangala, the many auspicious activities to be performed, like doing puja, giving charity, doing a grant like abstaining from foodstuffs. These are all actually auspicious. So for the most auspicious thing, that is chanting the holy names. There are many things to do which will purify ourselves, like performing Achman for purification, chanting some various mantras like Om Pavitra Pavitrava. But the most purifying activity, that is chanting the holy names, the mantra. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Ram, 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 Hare. And there are some beautiful prayers by Mukunda Datta Prabhu, glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is explaining that Hari Sevaka Sevana Dharma Paro Hari Nama Samrita Panadata Nadhitaya Nadaya Paramana Yoto Bhajagodu Makana Kunjavito. So he's explaining Bhajagodu Makana Kunjavito. I'm worshipping Bhaja, the moon, that is Gaura Chandra, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of Godum Dvip, one of the islands. So because Vrindavan Thakur, he was staying in Godum Dvip, so the Lord of Godum Dvip, that is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you have prayers, every line is ending like that. Bhaja Godum Makana Kunjavito, who is performing his pastimes in the gardens of Godum Dvip. And there is saying, he's giving the instruction actually. Very beautiful instruction. Hari Sevaka Sevana Dharma Pala. What is Pala Dharma? We are following Dharma. But what is the highest Dharma? Hari Sevaka Sevana. Serving the Hari Seva. Those who are serving Hari, the Supreme Lord. So serving the Vaishnavas, that is the highest Dharma. Hari Nama Rasamrita Panarata. Let me taste the rasamrit of Harinam, the nectar of the holy names at every step. And then Nati Daina Daya Paramana Yoko. And then again he's saying Nati Daina Daya. Let me always be in a very humble mood. Nati Daina Daya. And feeling myself very insignificant. And always having a very merciful attitudes towards others and being helpful towards others. Daya, Paramana Yuka. And towards others, we should always have a very respectful attitude. So that is very good. There are 20 verses, but this one is extremely beautiful. So we may chant these beautiful verses. And then glorification of Krishna. Which is very famous in Braj. Kasturi Tilakandalata Patale Vaksastale Kaustavam Nasagre Vanamuktinam Karatale Rukali Ranganam Sarananga Hayachandanam Saratam Kante Chamtavali Gopastri Pariveshi Gopi Jayate Gopala Churmani. All glories to the crest jewel of all Gopals, of all cowboys, that is Krishna. Who is surrounded by the gopis, and that is a beautiful description of Krishna. Kasturi Tilaka. On his forehead, he has a tilak made with the kasturi, with the musk of the deer. Lalata Panta, the Vaksastara Kaustuva. Vakshastara, his chest, he has the Kaustuva mani. Nasagre Varamuktinam. And here in front of his nose, he has a Rajamukta, he has a elephant pearl, a beautiful Karatale Venu Kankanam. Karatale. In the palms of his hands he has the flute, that is playing the flute. Kankanam, and he has bangles here, very beautiful bangles. Sarvanga Hari Chandanam. Especially the gopis, they are applying chandan on Krishna, but sometimes even his mother is applying chandan. So then on his neck, around his neck, he has a very beautiful motimala. So pearl necklace. So this way you may remember Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Purusottam ki, Sri Krishna Chandra Purusottam ki, Purusottam Mas ki, Purusottam Bhat ki, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki, Lord Premanande, Hari 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 Krishna.